Greetings my customers. Been a little while. I'm going to make some cookies again. Specifically I'm going to make some date cookies. And that's because well, the wife made me do some shopping yesterday, food shopping, and I saw this big box of dates. This isn't the big box of dates, this is the dates I've chopped up. And I thought, oh, I love dates. I haven't had dates for I don't know how long. She don't like them. So I bought this box and I thought there's so many in here, I'll find some recipes. So this is a recipe for date and nut cookies. Before we talk about the dates, we want to cream up some butter, and I've got 240 grams of slightly softened butter there, and I've got 240 grams of soft brown sugar. You can use white sugar, but I'm not. And what we want to do is just cream that together so it's nice and light and fluffy. Right, that's all creamed together. So I'm just going to put that to one side, because now what we want to do is get some the rest of our dry ingredients. And for that I've got some plain flour here, or if you're American, all-purpose flour. How much have I got of that? 320 grams. Yeah, 320 grams of that. And then I've got some baking soda, teaspoon of that. I've got some ground cinnamon, half a teaspoon of that. And then I've got a quarter teaspoon of ground cloves. Could leave that out if you're not too keen on the flavour of the cloves. I'm just going to work that in together. It is all going to get all mixed in together, but let's just have a little effort at that. Now, we've still got some mixed nuts. I've got 150 grams of mixed nuts. You could use any particular nut you like, but I just happen to have some mixed nuts. You want some dates pitted and chopped up, which I've already done. I've got 300 grams of those. I've got 3 eggs, and I've got 2 teaspoons of water, which apparently you mix in with the dates, but I'll have to say I do wonder whether that's really going to make any difference. Okay, so let's move on to the next stage. Now, by the way, I should say at this stage I'm not putting the oven on, because when we've got it all mixed together we're going to chill it for an hour in the fridge before we cook it, and this quantity should make about 36. We add a little bit of the flour and the other bits that's in there, and we want to gradually combine that with our butter and sugar mix. Now, dates have been around for millennia. Just gradually adding in the rest of that flour to go. The actual origin of the date palm is a bit unsure, because it's long, it has been cultivated for a very, very long time. So obviously there's only certain parts of the world it grows in, easily if you like, but it's a bit difficult to point out where it originally came from. But fossil record shows that the date palm has been around for at least 50 million years. So, the Middle East, the Indus Valley, there's evidence that they've been cultivating dates for thousands of years. And in fact, in Western Pakistan, they reckon it was probably 7000 BC. There was evidence of dates being cultivated. Eastern Arabia, about 5,000 years BC. So they're very old. Right, just about ready to put that in. So I'm just going to get that all mixed in together. At this point, I'm going to add in those mixed nuts. Okay. Now dates, we're obviously putting chopped dates in here. Get it back in there, you little bugger. And we're going to cook with them. Now, what I should have done before I put my flowers in is mix my egg into my butter and sugar mix, but I got a bit carried away talking about dates and everything and forgot what I was doing. So we're just going to get them beaten into that mixture before we add in our dates. Alright, that's a bit better. I'm sitting there thinking that's a very dry mix. I'm not quite sure how that's going to hold together, because even though them dates are sticky, I thought I can see that falling apart. But yeah, you should have added 3 eggs, preferably after you've creamed the butter and sugar together, and then you can beat in the flour and everything. So I'm just going to make sure this is all thoroughly mixed in, which I think it is. It's bloody hard work when it's like this. So dates, you can eat them whole, you can turn them into sugar, date sugar, you can turn them into honey, and actually there's a reference in the Bible where a lot of scholars actually believe, it's in Exodus, I think 3, book 3 or chapter 3 or whatever, where they refer to the land flowing with milk and honey. And most scholars now wonder whether, rather than being what we think of as honey, it was probably more likely, because it is known right back in them ancient times, a type of syrup or honey was made from dates. And so they believe that that's what the honey reference is, date honey. So anyway, I've now got my chopped dates, which, to be honest, by the time I chopped them up and shoved them in that bowl, they'll form one bloody cohesive lump of date. Yeah, so date can be eaten in a variety of different forms, and we're obviously going to have it as it is, but in a cookie. Oh. Now, it's also, by the way, ancient Egyptians used to make wine out of them. Vinegar is another thing that's been made from dates. Oh, I'm getting an armache. I have to have a cough to break. But the date is highly symbolic for both Muslims, Christians and Jews. They're mentioned more than 50 times in the Bible, more than 20 in the Quran. And the date palm is one of 7 revered plant species in Judaism. Okay, see? So it has a huge significance in religion. It has been considered for a long time a symbol of Judea and the Jewish people. Now, at this point, what do I do with spatula? Now that's all mixed together, what we want to do is, like I think I said earlier, is we want to chill this mixture. But essentially, it is now ready for cooking. We've mixed everything in, it's all ready to go, but we're going to chill it because it will have a tendency to spread inside the oven. So I'll get my wrap master on, and I'm just going to cover that over for now, and then we're going to, like I say, chill that for an hour. Now, when we come back from that and we're ready to bake them, you're going to want some baking trays lined with either paper or whatever. You're also going to want your oven preheated to about 190 degrees, okay? And you'll probably have to do them in batches because, like I say, this should, theoretically, you should get 36 out of them. So, I'll see you in an hour, or in the magic of video, in about 5 seconds. So, here we are, that much later. And just using the ice cream scoop to get roughly the right amount. Well, that one didn't really feel properly, and I'm just halving it because I decided that they were going to be rather large if I made them that big. So it's just a matter now of arranging them to give room for them to space out. I'm hoping I've got enough room there. We'll find out in a minute. And then they're going to pop in that preheated oven, 190, for about 10 minutes. Like I say, this is meant to make about 36. When we bring them out the oven, we're just going to then let them rest on those baking sheets for about 5 minutes before we transfer them off onto a wire rack. So that's the last tray just taken out the oven. Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 3, 24, 25, 6, 7, 28, 29, 30, 31. So actually quite close. I suspect, well, obviously there's some rather large ones there. These ones are slightly misshapen, and I'll let them cool because them dates are going to be hot. But once they've cooled, we'll have a little taste test. So that's the last tray just taken out the oven. Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 3, 24, 25, 6, 7, 28, 29, 30, 31. So actually quite close. I suspect, well, obviously there's some rather large ones there. These ones are slightly misshapen, and I'll let them cool because them dates are going to be hot. But once they've cooled, we'll have a little taste test. So here we go then. This one's a little bit of a runt of a litter, slightly warm still. Definitely taste the dates, even though there weren't actually a lot of pieces of date in that. Dates in that bit. It's quite moist. The recipe I got this from, and I can't for the life of me remember who it was by. Although this is slightly adapted because the nuts and that I used. People complaining they were very, very dry. Well, I don't know quite, well, they must have overbaked them. But there is a little bit of a nuttiness to it. I'm surprised there's not more, given the amount of nuts that went in there. It's got that lovely date flavour. It's not overly sweet. I was a bit concerned about the sweetness of the dates and the amount of sugar that went in it. But in all honesty, delicious. If you like your dates, eat these. In a way, you could almost double these up as like energy cookies, energy bars, if you like, with the sugar and the dates and everything else. Dates are very healthy, by the way. Very low in fat, obviously. Low glycemic index. What more not to like, anyway? So there you go. Your date and nut cookies.